What happens when one of Hollywood's most private leading men sits across the table from one of daytime television's most outspoken hosts, and neither of them backs down? Make sure to subscribe to the Star Talks and like and comment for more talk show coverage. So the moment starts off pretty normal. The audience is clapping, the theme music fades, and there he is, Ryan Gosling, walking out with that relaxed smile he always has. The crowd absolutely loves him. People are standing, cheering. It's loud. You can tell this is one of those bookings the producers were excited about all week. Joy Behar leans forward first. Ryan, welcome. It's about time you came back to daytime television. Ryan laughs politely. I've been meaning to. I'm happy to be here. Everything feels easy at first. They talk about his new film. He keeps it light. He jokes about filming in bad weather. The audience laughs. Sunny nods along. Whoopi gives him that approving smile she does when a guest is being charming, but not trying too hard. Joy jumps in again. You've been very selective with your projects. You don't jump into everything. That's intentional, right? Ryan shrugs a little. Yeah, I guess I just try to do things that feel right. I don't really think about it too strategically. Joy tilts her head. That's interesting, because some critics say you play it safe. The audience reacts, a soft, oh. Not loud, but noticeable. Ryan's smile tightens just slightly. Safe. Well, Joy continues, you don't really take strong public positions on anything. You stay kind of neutral. There's a slight pause. Ryan nods slowly. I focus on my work. I don't think every actor needs to comment on everything. Joy doesn't let it drop. But don't you think that with the platform you have, staying neutral is a position? You can feel the shift. It's subtle. The energy changes. The other hosts glance at each other. Ryan keeps his tone calm. I think being thoughtful is different than being neutral. Joy smiles, but it's one of those smiles that means she's about to push. Or is it avoiding controversy? The audience murmurs again. Ryan leans back slightly in his chair. I don't see it that way. Sunny jumps in, trying to soften it. I think what Joy's asking is, do you feel any responsibility to speak up on political or social issues? Ryan takes a breath. Responsibility is a strong word. I think everyone has to decide how they use their voice. I just try to be informed before I speak. Joy cuts in. But informed people can still speak. That's the first real interruption. Ryan looks at her, still composed. Of course they can. So why don't you? Joy presses. Whoopi gives a small, all right, like she's about to moderate, but she doesn't fully step in yet. Ryan's voice stays steady. Because sometimes the loudest voices aren't the most helpful ones. There's a mix of applause and awkward silence. Joy raises an eyebrow. Are you saying activists are loud but not helpful? No, Ryan responds quickly. That's not what I said. You just said the loudest voices. I said sometimes, he clarifies, keeping eye contact. Sometimes reacting instantly to everything doesn't leave room for nuance. Now the tension is visible. Joy leans back slightly. Nuance is great. Silence is different. The audience reacts louder this time. A few claps. A few groans. Ryan shifts forward in his chair now. He's not smiling anymore. Silence can also mean you're listening. Joy fires back immediately. Or that you don't want to risk your brand. There it is. That line lands hard. You can see Ryan's expression change. Not angry, but sharper. You think I don't take risks? Joy shrugs lightly. Professionally? Sure. Personally? Not so much. Sunny looks concerned. Alyssa shifts in her seat. Whoopi finally steps in. Okay, let's not make this personal. But it already is. Ryan nods slowly. I think it's interesting that choosing not to perform outrage publicly is seen as cowardice. Joy interrupts again. Nobody said cowardice. You implied it, he says calmly. The audience reacts again, louder this time. Joy leans forward. Ryan, people look up to you. When you stay quiet, it sends a message. Ryan responds immediately. What message does it send? That you don't want to alienate anyone. He exhales through his nose, not quite laughing. Or that I don't think everything needs to be a public performance. There's a noticeable pause. Even the audience quiets down. Joy crosses her arms lightly. You're on a public show right now. And I'm answering your questions, he replies. There's a ripple of applause. Whoopi nods. He is answering. Joy smiles again, but it's tense. We're just having a conversation. Ryan nods. And I'm just explaining my position. Sunny tries to reframe it. Ryan, is there something specific that made you decide to stay more private about your views? Ryan looks at her, grateful for the shift. Yeah, I've seen how quickly discussions turn into shouting matches. I don't think that helps anyone. Joy jumps back in. But discussions only happen if people speak. Ryan turns back to her. And sometimes they happen better when people listen first. There's a beat. A real one. Nobody talks for a second. The audience feels it. Joy finally says, "So are you saying talk shows like this aren't helpful?" Now the crowd gasps a little. Ryan shakes his head immediately. "No, I'm saying conversations are helpful when they're conversations, not when they're traps." The table goes quiet. Joy blinks. "Traps. I came here to talk about my work," Ryan says, measured. "Not to be tested on whether I'm politically loud enough." The audience applauds louder now. Joy responds quickly. "No one's testing you." "It feels like it," Ryan replies. Whoopi raises her hand slightly. "All right, let's take a breath." The tension is fully there now. It's not yelling. It's not chaos. It's that controlled, live TV discomfort where you can feel both sides holding their ground. Joy softens her tone slightly. "Ryan, I respect your career. I just think silence from powerful people can be frustrating." Ryan nods once. "And I respect that frustration. I just don't agree with the assumption behind it." Sunny glances at the audience, which is divided, some clapping for Ryan, some nodding at Joy. The energy hasn't exploded, but it's no longer light. Ryan folds his hands calmly on the table. Joy looks ready to continue. And you can tell, this conversation is nowhere near over. The room is still carrying that quiet tension when Whoopi clears her throat. "Okay," she says carefully, looking from Joy to Ryan. "We're having a real conversation. Let's keep it respectful." The audience claps lightly, almost relieved that someone acknowledged it. Joy nods. "I am being respectful." Ryan gives a small nod too. "I know," but his tone is firmer now. Not defensive, just steady. Sunny leans in. "Ryan, let me ask this differently. Do you think celebrities sometimes overstep when they speak on political issues?" Ryan pauses for a moment. You can see he's choosing his words. "I think anyone can overstep if they're not informed. Celebrity or not." Joy jumps in quickly. "But you're informed." Ryan looks at her. "About some things." "And on those things?" Joy presses. Ryan exhales. "I support causes privately. I donate. I show up. I just don't always make a public announcement about it." A few people in the audience clap. Joy tilts her head. "But how do people know what you stand for if you don't say it?" Ryan answers immediately. "The people who need to know." There's a murmur across the crowd. That line lands. Joy doesn't smile this time. "That sounds exclusive." "It's not," he replies. "It's intentional." Whoopi interjects. "Joy, I think what he's saying is not everything has to be posted." Joy looks at Whoopi. "I get that. But when major issues are happening, silence feels loud." Ryan leans forward now, elbows resting lightly on the table. "I don't think silence and thoughtfulness are the same thing." Joy responds quickly. "But you're not silent today." He nods. "Because you asked me directly." "And if I hadn't?" she asks. Ryan doesn't hesitate. "Then we'd probably be talking about the film." The audience laughs, breaking the tension just slightly. Joy lets out a short laugh too, but she comes right back. "See, that's what I mean. You pivot." "I stay on topic," Ryan corrects calmly. Alyssa finally speaks up. "I think there's also something to be said about audience expectation. We expect celebrities to be moral leaders now." Sunny nods. "That's true." Joy crosses her arms lightly. "But when they benefit from public platforms, don't they owe the public something?" Ryan looks directly at her. "I owe the public my work. That's what I signed up for." The audience reacts, mixed applause and murmurs. Joy's eyebrows lift. "Just your work?" "Yes," he says firmly. "That's the agreement. I'm an actor." Sunny interjects gently. "But you've also done advocacy before." Ryan nods. "Yes, when I felt prepared. When I felt useful." Joy presses again. "So when you're not speaking, should we assume you're not prepared?" Ryan's expression tightens slightly. "No, you shouldn't assume anything." That line is calm, but it carries weight. There's a brief silence. Whoopi leans back in her chair. "This is interesting because I've been in this business a long time. People used to tell actors to stay out of politics." Joy responds immediately. "And now we want them in." Ryan nods. "And that shift happened fast." Joy points slightly. "But you're part of the generation that benefits from that shift." "And also gets criticized for it," Ryan replies evenly. The audience claps louder this time. Joy leans forward again. "Ryan, let me ask you something directly. If something major happened tomorrow, something that affected millions of people, would you speak up? Ryan pauses. It's the longest pause so far. Yes, he says finally. Joy narrows her eyes slightly. Publicly? Yes. Then what's the difference between that and now? He answers without raising his voice. Urgency. Joy shakes her head. There's always urgency. Ryan replies, there's also perspective. Sunny steps in again. I think what's happening here is two philosophies clashing. Joy believes public advocacy matters. Ryan believes impact can happen privately. Joy turns toward Sunny. But private impact doesn't shift culture. Ryan responds immediately. It shifts lives. That line makes the audience go quiet again. Joy looks at him steadily. But culture shapes lives. Ryan nods once. Agreed. So why not influence it? She asks. He answers simply, because influence can become ego. There's an audible reaction from the crowd. A few gasps. Joy leans back slowly. Are you implying that people who speak out are doing it for ego? Ryan shakes his head. No, I'm saying it's a risk. Joy's voice tightens slightly. So you avoid the risk. Ryan meets her gaze. Sometimes, the tension thickens again. Not shouting, just firmness. Whoopi looks at the audience. Y'all are real quiet now. A nervous laugh ripples through the room. Joy looks back at Ryan. You know, some people would say staying neutral protects your box office. That line hits harder than the earlier one about brand. Ryan's jaw sets slightly. You think I choose scripts based on politics? I think studios consider everything, Joy says. And I'm not a studio, he replies calmly. Sunny watches closely. Ryan, does it bother you when people question your integrity? He answers honestly. Yes. Joy jumps in. No one's questioning your integrity. You are, he says, still controlled. You're suggesting my choices are strategic in a cynical way. Joy shakes her head. I'm asking. And I'm answering, he says. The audience applauds again, louder this time, clearly reacting to the back and forth. Whoopi raises a hand slightly. Okay, let's slow this down. Ryan, do you feel misunderstood? He nods. Sometimes. I think there's this idea that if you're not loud, you don't care. Joy responds quickly. And sometimes that's true. Ryan doesn't blink. Not always. Sunny asks, do you think there's a generational divide here? Joy laughs lightly. Oh, here we go. Ryan smiles faintly for the first time in a while. Maybe. Joy points at him. Don't blame my age. I'm not, he says. I'm saying the speed of conversation has changed. Joy replies, so has accountability. He nods. And that's good. But, she pushes. But accountability doesn't mean constant performance. The word performance hangs in the air. Joy crosses her arms again. You keep using that word. Because it's what it feels like sometimes, Ryan says. To you, Joy emphasizes. Yes, to me. The audience is fully invested now. You can see people leaning forward in their seats. Sunny glances at Whoopi, almost asking silently whether to cut to break. Joy leans in one more time. Let me ask you this. If you had a son or daughter watching you, would you want them to think staying quiet is enough? Ryan doesn't hesitate. I'd want them to think thinking is important. Joy responds immediately. Thinking without action? Ryan's voice stays steady. Who says there's no action? And just like that, the room goes quiet again, because now it's clear this isn't just about public statements. It's about how responsibility is defined. And neither of them is backing down. The silence lingers for a second after Ryan says that, and you can feel everyone recalibrating. Joy looks at him carefully. So tell us about the action, she says, not smiling now. Ryan nods once. There are organizations I've worked with for years. I don't post about it. I don't do press about it. But I show up. Joy responds quickly. Why not amplify it? That could help those organizations. It could, Ryan admits. But sometimes attaching a celebrity to something changes the focus. Sunny tilts her head. Changes it how? It becomes about the celebrity, Ryan says. Not the cause. Joy jumps in. Or it becomes more visible. Ryan doesn't break eye contact. Visibility isn't always depth. The audience murmurs again. Some clap. Whoopi leans forward. Let me ask you something, Ryan. Do you think people are asking too much from public figures now? Ryan considers it. I think people are asking for certainty in uncertain times. Joy nods slightly. That's fair. And sometimes, Ryan continues, we don't have it. Joy folds her hands on the table. But saying I don't have all the answers is still saying something. Ryan responds calmly. And I'm saying that right now. The audience reacts with light applause. Joy leans in again. But you weren't saying it before. Ryan's voice lowers slightly, not in volume but in intensity. You don't know that. That line shifts things again. Joy pauses. Then help us understand. He takes a breath. I grew up not having a platform. I didn't grow up thinking my opinion would matter more than someone else's just because I ended up in movies. Sunny nods thoughtfully. But now it does matter more, Joy replies. That's reality. Ryan answers immediately. It matters more in reach, not in value. There's a brief round of applause from the audience. Joy gestures slightly. But reach is power. Yes, he agrees. And power needs restraint. That word lands heavily. Joy raises her eyebrows. Restraint from speaking? Restraint from speaking without understanding, he clarifies. Sunny jumps in carefully. Do you feel like celebrities sometimes speak without understanding? Ryan doesn't hesitate. Yes. The audience reacts, louder this time. Joy crosses her arms again. So now we're back to that. You think people are uninformed. I think everyone can be uninformed, Ryan says calmly. Including me. Whoopi nods slowly. That's honest. Joy looks at Whoopi. But that doesn't mean you opt out. Ryan turns slightly toward Whoopi, then back to Joy. I'm not opting out. I'm choosing when to step in. Joy shakes her head. But who decides when it's enough? Ryan answers softly but firmly. I do. There's a quiet reaction in the audience. Not loud, but you can feel it. Joy's tone shifts, becoming more pointed. So you decide what's urgent. You decide what deserves your voice. Ryan doesn't flinch. Yes. And if people disagree? They're allowed to, he replies. Sunny steps in. Ryan, do you ever worry that by staying measured, you come across as detached? He thinks for a moment. I worry about being misunderstood. I don't worry about being detached. Joy responds immediately. But detachment is how it reads to some. Ryan looks directly at her. And confrontation is how this reads to some. The audience reacts with a mix of gasps and applause. Whoopi lets out a small, okay now, half warning, half amused. Joy sits up straighter. You think I'm confronting you? Ryan keeps his voice steady. I think you're challenging me. That's my job, Joy replies quickly. And this is my answer, he says. There's another wave of applause. Sunny looks at both of them. I think what's interesting is neither of you is wrong. It's just two different philosophies. Joy responds, but philosophies have consequences. Ryan nods. So do assumptions. The room is completely engaged now. Nobody is shifting in their seats. The audience is listening closely. Joy softens slightly. Ryan, do you think actors get unfairly judged? Yes, he says plainly. More than politicians? She asks. He pauses. Differently. Joy lets out a short laugh. That's diplomatic. Ryan almost smiles. I'm trying. The tension eases for half a second, but it doesn't disappear. Sunny looks at Ryan. Has there ever been a moment where you wished you had spoken sooner about something? Ryan nods slowly. Yes. Joy leans forward quickly. Like what? He shakes his head gently. I'm not going to turn that into a headline. The audience laughs lightly, but there's truth in it. Joy presses again. See, that's the thing. You guard everything. Ryan answers calmly. Because everything becomes content. That line hits hard. There's a ripple through the audience. Whoopi nods slowly. He's not wrong about that. Joy sighs lightly. But we're here to talk. And I am, Ryan says. But I'm not going to perform vulnerability on cue. The crowd reacts again, louder this time. Joy's expression tightens. No one's asking you to perform. It feels like that, he says, not raising his voice. Sunny interjects quickly. I think what he's saying is that sometimes emotional transparency gets demanded from public figures. Joy looks at Sunny, then back at Ryan. So what do you want from audiences? Ryan answers without hesitation. Grace. There's a pause. Joy repeats it quietly. Grace. Yes, he says. The same grace we give anyone who's figuring things out. The audience applauds again, stronger now. Joy watches him closely. And what do you give in return? Ryan responds, steady as ever. Honesty. Joy tilts her head. Is this honesty? Yes, he says. There's no smile. No sarcasm. Just directness. The tension isn't explosive. It's layered. It's two people who are used to strong opinions holding their ground on live television. Whoopi glances toward the producers off camera. You can tell they're getting signals about timing. Joy looks at Ryan one more time. You know this clip is going to go everywhere. Ryan nods slightly. Probably. And you're okay with that? He pauses. If it's taken in context. The audience gives a knowing laugh. Joy can't help but smile at that. That's optimistic. Ryan finally allows himself a small smile. Maybe. But even with that moment of levity, the underlying disagreement hasn't disappeared. It's still there. And everyone in the room knows the next few minutes will decide whether this ends in resolution or something sharper. You can see the producers signaling from off camera that they're close to a commercial break. But the energy at the table hasn't settled yet. Whoopi looks between Joy and Ryan. All right, before we wrap this up, I want to bring this back to something productive. Joy nods, still looking at Ryan. I'm fine with that. Ryan sits upright, hands folded calmly. He looks composed, but it's clear he's been fully engaged the entire time. Whoopi turns to him. Ryan, do you think conversations like this are helpful? He answers without hesitation. Yes. Joy looks slightly surprised. Even when they're uncomfortable? Especially then, he replies. There's soft applause. Joy leans back in her chair. Okay, then let me say this. I challenge you because people admire you. That admiration can move things. Ryan nods slowly. And I respect that. She continues, but when public figures stay quiet, it can feel like abandonment to some people. Ryan listens carefully before responding. And when public figures speak without care, it can feel reckless to others. The audience reacts again, divided but engaged. Sunny steps in gently. So maybe the answer isn't loud or silent. Maybe it's thoughtful and visible. Ryan looks at her. That's fair. Joy folds her hands together on the table. Then maybe we're not as far apart as it sounded. Ryan gives a small nod. Maybe not. There's a slight easing in the room. The tension hasn't vanished, but it's softened into something more reflective. Whoopi smiles slightly. See, we didn't flip the table. The audience laughs, grateful for the release. But Joy has one more thing to say. Ryan, I'll say this directly. I don't think you're careless. I think you're cautious. Ryan nods. That's accurate. And sometimes, Joy adds, caution can look like distance. Ryan meets her eyes. And sometimes challenge can look like accusation. There's a small wave of reaction from the crowd. Not explosive, but real. Joy considers that. Then she nods once. Fair. That one word shifts the energy more than anything else has. Whoopi claps her hands lightly. All right. That's a conversation. The audience applauds, louder now, almost relieved. Ryan relaxes slightly in his chair. Joy uncrosses her arms. Sunny smiles at both of them. As the show cuts to commercial, you can see Ryan and Joy exchange a few quiet words off mic. No raised voices. No dramatic gestures. Just talking. When the cameras come back briefly before the next segment, the mood is calmer. They transition to promoting Ryan's film. The tone is lighter. There's laughter again. But you can tell everyone in the room knows that first conversation is what people are going to remember. By the time the episode finishes airing, clips are already circulating online. Within minutes, short segments of the exchange are posted across social platforms. Some headlines frame it as Ryan Gosling calls out Joy Behar. Others say, Joy Behar challenges Ryan Gosling on celebrity silence. The audience reaction online is split, just like it was in the studio. Some viewers praise Ryan for staying calm and composed, saying he handled pressure without losing his temper. Comments flood in calling him measured, thoughtful, and respectful under fire. Others defend Joy, saying she asked the questions many people were thinking. They argue that public figures shouldn't get a pass just because they're uncomfortable. Debate threads grow quickly. Clips get millions of views. Hashtags start trending. On social media, some users focus on Ryan's line about grace, calling it powerful. Others focus on Joy's statement about silence feeling loud. Entertainment blogs begin breaking down the exchange moment by moment. Body language experts weigh in. Was Ryan defensive? Was Joy too aggressive? Or was it simply two strong perspectives colliding in real time? Backstage, sources later report that there was no shouting after the show. No dramatic walk-offs. Ryan reportedly thanked the hosts for the conversation before leaving. Joy, in a later interview snippet, mentions that healthy debate is part of the job. The producers of the show don't issue any statements, because technically, nothing inappropriate happened. It was tense, yes, but it was live television doing what live television does best, putting two viewpoints in the same room and letting them breathe. And that's what makes the moment stick. It wasn't explosive. It wasn't chaotic. It was controlled tension. The kind that feels real because it is. The audience in the studio that day reportedly left buzzing, not angry, not shocked, but talking. People debated in the aisles. Some sided with Ryan. Some sided with Joy. But almost everyone agreed it felt authentic. In the days that follow, neither Ryan nor Joy escalate the situation. No subtweets. No follow-up jabs. The clip continues to circulate, but the narrative shifts from clash to conversation. And maybe that's the real takeaway. Two people. Two philosophies. One live table. No screaming. No insults. Just disagreement, handled in front of millions. But what do you think? Was Ryan right to prioritize restraint and private action? Or was Joy right to demand more visible accountability from someone with his platform? Did it feel like a fair challenge or an unnecessary push? Share your opinion in the comments and subscribe to the Star Talks for more real talk show stories.